Star Wars The Last Jedi is a very unique movie, meaning that there are people who love it and there are those who hate it. And those who hate it, well, hate it for a bunch of different reasons. Some reasons I don't care for, while other reasons I'll actually completely agree on. These are my own personal reasons for which I hated in The Last Jedi. And just to let you know, but this might turn into a rant pretty quickly, so forewarning here. The Rebels/Resistance. To me, this was either of two things. Either it seemed like Rian Johnson just didn't understand the lore properly, and if that's the case, he shouldn't be anywhere near the writer's table for a Star Wars movie, or he simply hated J.J. Abrams' invention of the Resistance and tried to write it off as like they never existed at all. In The Force Awakens, the whole time they were Resistance scum. And now suddenly in The Last Jedi, which remember, takes place only mere minutes from The Force Awakens, they're now referred to Rebel Scum and the Rebellion. This is legit one of the main things that frustrated me the most when viewing the movie and really ruined my immersion every single time it was brought up. And yeah, I get at the end of the movie they start referring to themselves as quote-unquote the new rebellion. Okay, fine, call yourselves rebels later in the movie once you decide to be the new rebellion or whatever. But not already at the start of the movie. Like, Finn just joined the Resistance like a day ago and this idiot is already calling himself a rebel scum? It's like Rian Johnson just looked at the script and was like,
Oh, you know what, I don't really like these Resistance folk. Screw the canon and lore, I might just change this to them being rebels and call it a day and hope no one notices. Now I'm also tempted to rename the First Order to the Empire because remember Star Wars?
While on the subject of spitting on JJ's work from The Force Awakens, I was very much not a fan the way Johnson handled Snoke and Rey's backstory. For anyone who knows how JJ directs, he does so by building his movies around this so-called mystery box, where he'll constantly add questions upon questions in the movie for the audience to play a guessing game. He did this deliberately with both Rey and Snoke in The Force Awakens, and that's what JJ is good at, posing questions and not answering them. But you'd think after waiting 2 years, we would at least get some satisfactory answers to these questions. Nah. Snoke, despite being so incredibly powerful, goes down like a chump because Johnson hated the character and wanted him out ASAP. We learn nothing about him whatsoever, and this will just force fans to buy the comics or novels to learn about his backstory, which I doubt Lucasfilm themselves even know still at this point. So I guess technically all those bad Snoke theories are still fair game. Oh, and let's not forget Rey, whom while she was called the Mary Sue in The Force Awakens for her fighting ability, her instant perfect ship repair and piloting skills, despite never having repaired or even flown a ship in her life, and of course using the Force already like a trained Jedi, despite only learning about it that same day. And at the time of The Force Awakens, a lot of people who defended her said,
Hey, don't worry about it, she's actually Luke's former student who had her memory wiped or something. Just wait for episode 8 and it'll all be explained.
Okay, cool. I waited, and what did episode 8 tell us? Oh, that's right. She's amazing at everything because she's a nobody with unimportant parents. Wow, I'm so glad I waited for episode 8 for these answers. Bravo, Johnson, you're a genius! My neighbor's kid, who's in kindergarten, could come up with a better explanation than this. To me, this is just lazy, unimaginative writing. Yeah, I get that there are people who like this idea that our parents weren't anyone, as it doesn't matter who your parents are because you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it, blah blah blah. Right, that's fine, and I respect that. I just personally didn't buy it. And to be honest, in that scene in the dark cave where Rey was asking who her parents were, I totally for a second thought that lone shadow coming toward her was going to be revealed as Obi-Wan Kenobi or Palpatine, because how cool would that be? Or for all the people who didn't want that, at least show 2 random junkers to prevent her parentage from being retconned in episode 9. But whatever.
Mama!
Anyways, granted, the movie tries to backpedal on this and explain that because she's the only light side Force user, she's automatically unbelievably strong, almost like she has a god mode cheat activated or something. And alright, that would explain why she's so good at the Force. Not so much why she's so good at repairing technology or piloting, especially being able to outmaneuver not regular, but Special Forces First Order TIE pilots, her very first time flying a ship. not to mention her overall lightsaber wielding ability. And while we're on Rey, when she fought Kylo in The Force Awakens, she did well, but you can tell she had no idea how to properly use a lightsaber. That's why she expected to learn from Luke. Yet she's only on Ahch-To for barely a day, only has one lesson from Luke, which didn't even involve any combat training, and she's already mastered how to fight with a lightsaber? Right. I get she's good at the Force and all, but it's the same with a sports athlete. They can naturally be talented as much as possible, but without training and anyone teaching them, they won't ever be able to master their sport. Especially not within a day like Rey did. Okay, let me get this straight. The First Order, an Imperial remnant, having a large enough fleet to take back the entire galaxy is just plain stupid. What went from a running joke of them having only 2 or 3 battle cruisers in The Force Awakens, to now suddenly an entire galaxy-wide fleet the next movie is just enough for me not to take this new sequel trilogy serious anymore. Luke Skywalker. I mentioned him already on my things that I liked about The Last Jedi video, and I very much did like his Force projection entrance. However, having said that, I hated to learn that it's exactly what it was, a projection, only for him to die off soon like some punk. I wanted nothing more than to see Luke ignite his green lightsaber and go ham on Kylo Ren, Master versus Apprentice. That's what I've been waiting for all these years, and the payoff, while exhilarating at first, only became a slap in the face for Luke Skywalker fans looking forward to this moment. Now that he's dead, we won't ever get to see this, and that's what really hurts. I really hate how Rian Johnson thinks he knows what the fans want, because he doesn't. At least Gareth Edwards on Rogue One listened. We wanted an awesome scene of Darth Vader wrecking shop with the rebels. We got exactly that, and that scene is not only the best part in the entire movie, but as well as one of the most memorable now in all of Star Wars film. And yet Johnson thinks he knows what's better for us. And I get why he did it, because he doesn't want Luke to be the hero of this trilogy, but Rey. Because let's be real here, had Luke really faced Kylo, he would have wrecked him and in all likelihood probably kill him, leaving no big baddie for Rey to fight in Episode 9. Because, well, we all need Rey to fight Kylo and beat him a third time, right? To be honest, they should have left Luke alive for Episode 9 where he can get in an epic battle with the Knights of Ren and slay them all. But Rian Johnson probably wants Rey to do all of that instead. DJ. Really a disappointment of a character. I would have preferred the rumors of him being a Dark Jedi or an old Ezra Bridger that had been true over what we got of him. A stuttering, dirty old bum. Boring. The Praetorian Guard fight scene. Yeah, I know, I love this scene and I still do. But after seeing it, I quickly realized that it was all just done just so this movie would have a cool fight scene. Because in all actuality, Kylo and Rey, 2 apprentices struggling with these guards, could have easily disposed of them using Force powers, just as Yoda did with the Royal Guards in Episode 3. Yet because this movie desperately needed a fight scene, let's have Kylo and Rey forget what the Force is for these few couple minutes. I guess it just kind of annoys me, but at the same time I'm glad we got to see the fight regardless. Because it's already bad enough we don't have a single lightsaber on lightsaber fight. Without this fight of the guards, The Last Jedi would absolutely suck in the fighting department. Like majority of the filmgoers, I thought the Canto Bight scenes and overall plot points were pointless and killed the movie's pacing and momentum. I'm fine with Canto Bight being in the movie, but had it been shorter, no stupid Harry Potter looking dogs, and a Save the Animals advertisement forced down our throats, it would have been decent otherwise. BB-8. I enjoyed BB-8 in The Force Awakens, but he was just plain annoying in The Last Jedi. Especially that scene where he takes over the First Order AT-ST. It really didn't need to be there. BB-8 just seemed far too powerful for its own good. Now I'm fine with BB-8 kicking butt. However, anything more than that just becomes overkill. Admiral Holdo. Right, she could have told Poe about her plan from the start, and we could have avoided the Canto Bight subplot and the coup, yada yada, sure. But what I really did not like is how pointlessly she decided to commit suicide in trying to take down the Supremacy. My question is, why couldn't she have gotten the transports and go to Crate as well? Star Wars made a big deal how the Resistance is so undermanned and they have a ton of droids helping run their ships. So why not take one of those mini droids and have it pilot the Raddus on a lightspeed suicide mission through the Supremacy? So is one droid life more important than a human life? It just makes no sense whatsoever. And speaking about Holdo, I also didn't like how going to Crate was Holdo's plan and not Leia's, especially since Crate was an old Rebel Alliance base, which Leia was already on before. It would have made more sense for Leia to come up with it, considering Holdo was never part of the Rebel Alliance. Yet in the movie, it seems like Leia doesn't even know the base on Crate exists, but Holdo does. How? We don't know. Yeah, another case of Rian Johnson ignoring the lore. And if not, then I blame the Lucasfilm Story Group. Either way, someone screwed up big on this one. That Leia pop-in scene, awkward and kinda creepy. And when she does get back to the Raddus, everyone just acts as it was a normal occurrence. No one was asking any questions, no one was like, hey, since when can Leia do this? It was just like, oh, hey, Leia is just coming back from space with her force powers and yeah, that's pretty cool. What's for dinner? Seeing Force Ghost Yoda was great and it made sense. But I wasn't a fan of how he acted more so like Yoda's fake facade from Empire than the real, more serious Yoda. Also, where was Force Ghost Anakin and Obi-Wan? Kind of weird only Yoda would show up and not these two as well. Especially, you know, one of them being Luke's dad and all. Rose. Alright, so this is weird because I included her on my list of things that I liked. Yet she's here and let me explain. I liked Rose. For say the first or 10 minutes of her being on the screen. I felt that screen time was more than enough for her. When I stopped liking her is when she went with Finn to Canto Bight, and all the scenes after that. It was all like, oh, my sister died, let's go on an adventure! Like, what? First of all, why her? She's a maintenance worker. She's the last person who's qualified to go on a special ops mission like this. If anything, it should have been Finn and Poe that went to Canto Bight. It would have helped develop their relationship with each other, and especially seeing just how much fans love the Finn and Poe chemistry when escaping the battlecruiser in Force Awakens, I'm very surprised they didn't go with this route. Rather instead, force Rose on us. And that's exactly one of the reasons I didn't care for Rose. She felt forced in, constantly being all cheery like some anime character too. Basically, she was like Finn's waifu here. Except Finn didn't really share the same feelings for her. And why is she even in love with Finn and hero worshipping him anyways? He's only been of the Resistance for like a couple of hours? It makes no sense, it's creepy, not cute. The first thing that really annoyed me about her was when she started telling Finn about the enslaved children on Canto Bight, and how badly they have it. Girl, you're telling this to Finn. Finn should be telling you about all that. As he himself was abducted from his family as a kid and brainwashed into some evil space Nazi cult. I'm pretty sure he's the last guy you should be lecturing on the subject. And if I thought that wasn't bad enough, in the Battle of Crate, they let her, once again, an unqualified maintenance worker, ride a ski speeder into battle. Why? I know the Resistance. Oh, I'm sorry, Rian Johnson. I forgot this isn't JJ's movie anymore. The Rebellion were low on people. But come on, I bet they still had enough people to be able to choose someone over her. And what exactly was the point of the ski speeders anyway? They didn't have any tow cables and were merely old Rebel patrol speeders, not even made for battle. So what are they supposed to do against the First Order forces? It just seems like a suicide mission in my opinion. Oh, yeah, I get it now. That's why Rose was selected. Makes sense. Anyways, when Finn does decide to be a hero and actually add some real weight and meaning to his character by attempting to sacrifice himself and destroy the First Order cannon, Rose decides to screw it all up and smash into him. Like, damn, not only was that a brash and idiotic move that could have killed both of you right there and then, but you put your own selfish reasons over the needs of the Resistance? And for what? Just so you can awkwardly give Finn a peck on the chin while he looks all confused like what just happened? Plus it's okay for Holdo to sacrifice herself to save others because she's wise, such a hero, such a great leader. Yet when Finn attempts to sacrifice himself, he's stopped by Rose and has to learn a life lesson. Contradiction much? And when Rose was giving her speech, why didn't any of the First Order walkers just blow them up? And how did Finn, while dragging Rose, who certainly doesn't look like an easy carry if you catch my drift, manage to get all the way back to the base without being blown up by the countless walkers outside? They were pretty far from the base. That entire walk would have taken them quite a while. And even at the moment, Kylo Ren tells Hux to advance the forces and take no prisoners. No prisoners but the ones right in front of them with the plot armor, right? Just look where they are and look the long way back to the base. There's no way they could have survived. Heck, there's no way that Rose could have even turned around her ski speeder and even get to Finn in time to smash into his speeder, especially how far he got away from her at that point when she was driving back to the base. Needless to say, Rose quickly went from a character I kinda liked and didn't mind to the most annoying individual in the entire movie. I totally get why people are actually calling her the Jar Jar Binks of the sequel trilogy. Damn man, I wish it was Rose who died on that bomber and instead we had Paige for the rest of the movie. While only getting a few minutes of screen time, Paige was awesome. She was actually useful, and probably not as annoying as Rose. I think PewDiePie said it best, that Rose felt like a fan that won some kind of contest to get in the movie, and I completely agree. Oh yeah, that end scene of the stable boys is so cheesy. You can tell this was a Disney movie because of that. First, how did these kids even know how the Battle of Crate exactly went down? Were they live streaming the battle from their stables or something? And when that broom kid goes outside and stares at the stars... just an unnecessary scene. What we can learn from this scene is that the First Order steals kids to have them become soldiers, while the Resistance brainwashes slave kids to fight for them. Yeah, no. But yeah, that's about it. Sure, there's probably more things wrong in this movie that I missed. Everyone of course has their own list. But these are just the things personally either I hated or just irked me when watching The Last Jedi. This is N7 from SYLO signing off.